The wind blows across a golden setting as military boots become present. It is the elite Special Force Unit captain named Lee Yuna, aka Military Mommy. An underling asks her to be more gentle as she is freaking out all the other soldiers. She brushes her face as she mentions how she hasn't even shown them half of her horrifying side yet. The underling then mentions this is why all the soldiers call her the devil. Lee Yuna is a soldier at heart with outstanding performances and an excellent grade in the military academy. She was also the first student to earn the title of captain as well. The underling then mentions, however, that if she keeps up this attitude she will never find that true someone. Yuna tells him she has no interest in love or marriage, to which the underling asks if she plans to be a soldier for the rest of her life. She responds by saying of course, as a man comes running in from behind yelling captain. The messengers state that a village thought to be the enemy's residence has been destroyed, to which Yuna mentions it must be the US looking to spread freedom again. A bomb then goes off as Yuna covers up and her men shout in pain. She yells at her soldiers to guard their positions and that they are under attack. She says a non-monetizable word as someone yells for the captain to watch out. A big old nuke then seems to rain down, causing a massive boom. Yuna seems to levitate and watches the flash as it gets even brighter and then even closer. Silence is then heard as the lights go out. I wonder if this is what Oppenheimer the movie will feel like. She wonders if she's still alive as a fancy room can be seen. She sits up as she notes she does not feel any pain on her body. The extravagance of the room seems to shock her as she sits silently in bed. She wonders what is with the fancy princess-like dress she is wearing as the door opens to her shock. She runs to the maid, who says excuse me before her hand is grabbed. She puts the maid under arrest as the maid shouts my lady. Yuna asks the maid who she is and where are they before warning that she has 3 seconds to answer this. Yuna notes her body feels weak whenever she moves before the maid asks her what she is doing. The maid then calls her Lady Rosalie as we then get to see what she looks like now. Narrator interjection: but how is this fair? She looked good in her former life and even in her new life as well. I only get one life and I was born looking ugly as hell. Yuna, who is now Rosalie, internally says wait a minute. She notes that this voice is not hers as the maid pleads with Lady Rosalie to release her as her arm is about to break. Rosalie does so as she stares at her arms and notes they are not here. The many scars she had accumulated from training as well as the tanness and firmness of her skin. She then yells for a mirror, to which the maid tells her it is over there. She then asks the maid for her name again, to which the maid asks if something is wrong before referring to our female lead as Lady Rosalie Judehart. Rosalie pinches herself to see if this is all real before thinking about her new name. She recalls this being the name of a character in a book her friend had written. She recalls her homie asking what she thought about it, to which our female lead called the character Rosalie pathetic. She also said that romance novels were so not her type. She mentioned that they were sometimes very frustrating to read and require mental training for. But this character Rosalie in particular is the most pathetic she had ever seen. Her friend tells her that is not the point and that the main plot revolves around the male lead helping the sweet female lead, to which Yuna calls this hard to read. Yuna mentions that the female lead is sweet but her character is too much, while also saying the male lead was kind of crazy and not her type at all. Now in the present times her reflection can be seen on a mirror. She stares in silence before dropping the F-bomb. For days would pass as we see her now sipping tea, having accepted what had happened to her. Despite this, she still cannot handle what is going on. She is currently in her friend's novel as the character called Rosalie, who will soon lose her powers. 5 years ago, Rosalie had lost her father and was forced to live with her stepmom Bella. Rosalie was the heir to the duchy due to her royal blood, but was soon found to be too timid and incapable of taking the throne. This caused her stepmom to become the lead figure in the family and use Rosalie as a puppet. Her stepmother had an obsession with luxury, slowly depleting the family wealth before later on joining the Marquis of Wendell to initiate a territorial war. Having taken advantage of Rosalie, this stepmother would steal all the property and possessions while leaving without a trace. After winning the territorial war due to the help of other parties and becoming a noble herself, nobody ever knew about her shady past. Our female lead wonders what to do and whether she should change Rosalie's fate or allow the story to flow naturally. The truth is that this story does not have a set ending yet, and our female wonders if she should keep it that way. She, however, does not want this to happen and decides to think of everything going on first. She calls for Emma to bring her a pen as she then starts to write. She will not get any help from any existing characters yet, so she must prepare for the upcoming territorial battle in 4 months. She notes that this way she can save the duchy's economic power before deciding that she will also need to increase military power. Our female lead, who is now Rosalie, rings her bell as a maid comes in. She asks for the maid to prepare a dress as she will head out. The maid nervously questions if she is Rosalie, to which our female lead responds yes. Our female lead notes this girl is quite amazingly perceptive, as she is the one who stays by the real Rosalie's side till the end of the story. Rosalie then refers to the maid as Emma and mentions how since her father died, Rosalie herself has not shown any dignity. She tells the maid she has now changed, as she is the Duchess of this land. The maid seems stunned as she holds her apron before telling Rosalie that she'll help her dress up. We later see our female lead in a wonderful dress as Emma asks Rosalie where she is going. Rosalie says title to Emma's confusion. She tells the maid she'd like to stop being referred to as lady. Emma apologizes for the rudeness as Rosalie says to be careful about calling her that from now on. Emma thinks to herself about how much Rosalie has changed as we then transition to the training grounds. As Rosalie walks, Emma calls for the Duchess. She then asks why they are at the training grounds, as we then see all the dudes there have finally noticed her. They all wonder what the princess is doing here, as Rosalie then says everyone is out of their minds. Someone asks if there is a problem, which causes Rosalie to turn and see Knight Commander Aaron. Rosalie says she is here to see Aaron, which clearly confuses the guy. Aaron notes it seems like Rosalie is no longer afraid of Bella anymore, to which Rosalie asks Aaron if he'd be scared of a 3-tongued snake in front of him. This again confuses Aaron before he starts to laugh. He then calls her Bella's pawn and asks if she is spying on this place, which leaves Rosalie speechless. He asks why she is not saying anything, as Rosalie notes Aaron is neither making eye contact with her or running away. Rosalie then says that his reaction is understandable considering her previous behavior, to which Aaron asks if something is wrong with her head. She then yells Commander Aaron's name before asking if his loyalty to the family is still in his heart. He yells, telling her she is asking an obvious question, as he has been serving this family for many generations, so of course it is. Rosalie tells him well done, as she then turns to walk away, which again confuses him. I'm confused as well, not gonna lie. It is later seen that she watches over the training on the 1st, 3rd, and 6th day. This all builds up to Aaron asking why on earth she is here. She tells him she is watching them train, to which Aaron asks what she thinks about it. She calls it terrible, to which he calls what she said nonsense. She glares at him as he now stiffens up. He wonders what is up with this aura, since it feels like that of a well-trained knight. She tells him just by watching them it appears that they are incapable of beating or killing anyone. She tells him she is sure they can do better, to which Aaron clenches his fist and tells her she never even cared about the knight's true potential. She then crosses her arms and offers to give a hand. Aaron asks if she can even do this and if Bella would allow it, to which Rosalie notes if they do this she is sure it will pay off. Rosalie then asks Emma if Bella fired the old butler, to which Emma says yes. Rosalie then mentions she will cut her off, which causes Emma to freak out as she wonders what Bella will do when she finds out. Rosalie reminds Emma that she is the Duchess and tells her to calm down. She then says she has a favor to ask Emma. 3 days later, Rosalie is telling someone to come into the room. It is the old butler that worked for the duchy named Dolan. He tells Rosalie it has been a while since they met, to which Rosalie says she is taking this as a sign he is willing to work here again. She notes to herself this man was living in the suburbs after being fired until she asked Emma to deliver a message. She notes that she doesn't even know what Emma said to him. Dolan tells her she has changed, to which Rosalie says it is time to change before directly asking if he is willing to work for her once more. He bows down saying yes, which causes our female lead to smile. Why is she so fine? It is noted in the novel the original Rosalie could not wear the family ring, but that today is different. Our female lead says she will change her fate as she places the ring on her finger, unlike Charles Barkley. Someone yells saying she wants them to bring her Rosalie. A maid nervously tells her to visit Rosalie's room if she has something to say, to which Bella notes it seems like Rosalie is now pretending to be the Duchess now. She then smiles as she notes she needs to meet her eye to eye now. She then yells Rosalie's name as we later see Rosalie peacefully at her table. The rabid female dog stares at her before asking if she can hear her bark. Rosalie notes how nosy it is before noting her personality is exactly like in the book. Rosalie calls her a paranormal snake as Bella calls Rosalie rude and asks if Rayleigh taught her that. Rosalie then recalls that is the name of her character's mother and recalls that her own mother taught her that she should rip off the necks of anyone who touches her. She then reflects on her former family, who were a complete military family for multiple generations. To them, discipline and values are the most important aspects of life. She notes that after joining the military she realized that despite language and culture being different, there was no place for that in the military. Essentially saying none of that matters in the military and that we are all human on equal footing. She then angrily slams the table as she notes due to being in the military, she has already had enough of this class-based society. Bella asks what Rosalie just said and tells her to stop pretending to be the Duchess. She also mentions she will fire her butler again as Rosalie starts to walk over. Rosalie then asks Bella if she knows who she's talking to. Bella raises her hand as she asks how dare Rosalie talk so rudely, but it is grabbed mid-attack. Bella says to let go as Rosalie notes she cannot believe this woman is hard to deal with. She internally decides to start physical training tomorrow. Bella then pulls her hand away and pants before being stunned as Rosalie mentions that she is 7th Duchess of the Judehart family. She calls Bella the former Duchess and tells her to act respectfully. Rosalie then asks if Bella understands before yelling "answer me," which causes the dog to whimper yes. Rosalie then calls for Dolan and then tells him to take Bella back to her room. Dolan says yes to that and he then tells Bella let's go. Feet can be seen moving as Aaron then asks if Rosalie called for him. He is stunned as he sees Dolan, to which Dolan says it has been a while. Aaron talks about the rumors being true and notes there was also one about Rosalie giving Bella a good show. Rosalie angrily tells them to get back to work as Aaron then sits down saying understood. She tells him they are going to improve knight strength and that she is raising their salaries. He asks if she is sure about this before she tells him to train them based on this paper. He tells her he will train them with all his might and stops mid-sentence as he reads the paper. On the paper are things like 2,000 push-ups and climbing mountains, basically that Uncle Iroh prison training regime. Rosalie sips her tea as she recalls mentioning to him that she'd help bring the knights back to life. She tells him in a few weeks she will be the one to directly train them. Aaron says he now understands why she raised the salary and also the training. He tells her it won't be easy for the knights to train like this and that public opinion of their knights are not good before Rosalie stops him mid-sentence and puts her teacup down. She reminds him that in the past their duchy had the best knights before asking what he thinks about them now. She tells him they will start training in a week, to which Aaron tells her alright and that he will update the training regiment. As he leaves, Emma says hi to him. Emma then tells Rosalie a letter has arrived for her as Rosalie asks from whom. It says Sonia Ammons, who is actually a friend of Rosalie's and also the real female protagonist in this novel. Emma notes it has been a while since they've seen each other and asks what she said. Rosalie says that they will be having a guest in 2 weeks. Rosalie notes that it was around this time in this novel that Sonia found out about Rosalie's mistreatment and that the Crown Prince will get involved. Rosalie notes to herself she does not need the help anymore. Rosalie then asks Emma if there is any news on what they talked about earlier, to which Emma says Dolan will pick it up the day after tomorrow. Rosalie then smiles and she notes that is good. In a week we see all the knights smiling as Aaron then asks Rosalie what kind of outfit she has on. She has on some combat gear. Some dorks remark that she is trying to match her outfit for the training in a mocking manner. She turns and glares and they then note this will be a piece of cake. Rosalie is clearly angered as she then sighs and says they will start training. Aaron asks what they are waiting for and tells everyone to gather up. One guy says he does not want to do it. He mentions that they do not care if she is a duchess as they will not listen to her even if she is a self-proclaimed training master. This causes the other men to laugh. Rosalie asks who he is as Aaron notes this is Toronto, the oldest and highest ranking knight. Rosalie notes the word high rank before asking again if what Aaron says is true. She then asks for him to show her his sword. Aaron tries to warn her about him being high rank as she then says she does not care and flips her hat off. She then moves her knife back and gets into a stance. Toronto asks if she is sure about that posture as all the other knights laugh. She then draws his sword as he then tells her to make sure not to regret this. He swings and misses as she then steps forward moving towards his stomach. She then slashes right by his neck as he then trips over. She tells him his head would have come off if this was a real battlefield. Side note, but step on me too, mommy. He tells her he surrenders as she notes angrily how easily he surrendered. She asks how dare a knight like him surrender so easily and says that there is no surrender unless they die. She asks if all the other knights understand as they nervously say yes. She tells them to answer her properly as they more vigorously say yes. Someone then calls for Rosalie, which turns out to be Sonia Ammons. Rosalie notes that she came on the exact same day as training before noting the person next to her. Sonia later asks what happened and says that she is surprised. Rosalie says it was no big deal before staring ahead. She notes Sonia is exactly like she had envisioned while Derivis looks a lot colder than she had imagined. Sonia sips her tea in silence and the awkward silence descends on the three. Sonia then asks if they should have a tea party tomorrow, to which Rosalie agrees and says she will get it ready. Sonia then asks if she wants to go have a look around at the blooming flowers in the garden. Rosalie says she still has something to do and asks Dolan to show Sonia around. Dolan then ushers Sonia out as Rosalie now looks ahead. Derivis stares at her as well as she notes they might have a snowball fight soon, basically saying the two will be cold towards one another. Derivis notes that she is no longer avoiding his eyes anymore as Rosalie mentions she has done nothing wrong to him. Derivis then mentions that she may have done something wrong to someone else though. It is noted that Derivis Vladic is the crown prince of the empire who is a talented aura sword master, making him and Rosalie completely different. It is noted that without Sonia the two of them would never have had this conversation. Rosalie notes that after solving this territorial war and securing the titanium mine, the crown prince won't be involved in this situation anymore. Rosalie then tells the prince she will go back to training now as she then gets up from her seat. She starts to walk, but he does so as well. She tells him he must be lost as the garden is on the other side, to which he tells her he is following her to the training ground. She wonders why he would be interested in her training. In the original novel, Aaron would become so disappointed in Rosalie that he would leave to join Derivis instead. She notes that today she cannot lose Aaron before telling Derivis not to come as the knights might lose focus with him around. They both stare coldly at one another before he mentions that he'll have a look at the training grounds later. He then walks up to her saying he doesn't follow anyone's wishes. This infuriates her as she notes this man is just as crazy as in the novel. He walks away and notes this will be fun. Later we see Rosalie acting like my middle school PE teacher and yelling at the knights for one more push-up. The knights shout 43 and 44 as Rosalie then mentions that they are slowing down. She tells them to start all over again before they now refer to her as a devil. They are later seen running laps and Rosalie notes to herself she is still far from achieving her goals. She then notes that at least beating Toronto did help with things. She notes that she actually would have lost that fight had he not looked down on her. She also then wonders why Derivis is so interested in her as she recalls him never being interested in Rosalie in the novel. She herself wonders if it is due to her having changed. Later we see running as someone then asks if Rosalie is preparing for training again this morning. She asks what he is doing here as he mentions he is here to train as well and that he did not expect the Duchess to be here as well. She asks if that is so and says she hopes the best for him as she does not care if he trains or not. He then sighs as she continues to stretch. She then glances over as he then sits to meditate his aura. She stares in confusion as he continues to meditate. Not gonna lie, this black outfit is hitting different right now. She notes this what they call aura training and that in the novel this is the power used by Swordmaster. She notes that seeing it in person is actually pretty cool. She then calls for His Highness as he says yes. She asks for him to show her what he can do as he asks if she is curious. He tells her that the aura corresponds to the person's eye color and she then asks if she can touch it. He notes that he does not think she will feel anything if she touches it as she leans over. She puts her finger on it as she notes she thought it would feel hot, but it actually feels like nothing at all. She stares in amazement as Derivis watches over her. He notes he has never seen her look like this before and then the two lock eyes. He tells her that she does not usually show her face and that this is the first time he's looked at her properly. She asks him is that so as she turns to the side. She tells him that's cool as she continues to look away. He notes that he heard she gets referred to as the Devil Duchess and she asks how he knows. He tells her she knows what happened. He tells her that the knights seem to be making a lot of rude jokes, so she seemed to have doubled their training intensity. She angrily tells him it does not matter, to which he tells her that sometimes showing her devilish side does help. He also mentions that sometimes it is the devil that beats humans rather than the angels anyways. He then mentions that her eyes are too beautiful to be called a devil and that real devils can't have eyes like that. He then asks if she wants him to come to training or if seeing that was already enough. She tells him one time is more than enough as he then tells her alright and that she can continue her workout now. She continues to stretch in silence as she then starts to think about how Derivis obviously never looked at Rosalie in this manner during the novel and wonders why he is suddenly interested in her before noting she needs to be wary. Later we see Sonia run in shouting Rosalie's name along with Derivis. Rosalie then says to come here as the tea party is about to start. Sonia asks if Rosalie will actually be here at this tea party, to which Rosalie says he actually will stay this time. It is noted that in the novel Bella and Marquis of Wendell are very close and will secretly contact one another to start a territorial war. She then internally says let's see if this works out as it was originally written. Sonia then says she has not seen Bella and that the last time she saw her was when she was packing her things. Rosalie says that Bella left to go to the villa for a while as we then see some red heels. A stench can be seen in the air as Rosalie notes they were just speaking of the devil. Bella says it is a pleasure to meet the crown prince of the empire as she then looks up. The three then stare at her as Bella mentions Rosalie never said the prince was coming. She asks if Rosalie was determined to embarrass her or something, to which Sonia says that's not it. Rosalie then asks why she would be concerned about that. Bella asks what she is talking about as she mentions she is the Grand Duchess of the Judehart family. Rosalie stands up saying she is the Duchess of the Judehart family as Bella asks what about it. Rosalie says this means that Bella has to follow her orders. She then tells Dolan to take Bella to her room as if she were a toddler. Dolan tells the lady to go, which angers her. She says how dare and tries to strike again, but again her filthy hand is grabbed. Rosalie mentions unless she wants to get dragged away in front of guests by knights, she should just leave quietly. This causes the Crown Prince to smirk as he notes he never informed her of his visit as it is the Duchess's choice on whom they want to inform about it. A furious Bella then turns to walk away as someone then calls for Rosalie. Sonia asks if this is the real Rosalie that she knows, to which Rosalie just says yes. Sonia mentions she is surprised that Rosalie kicked Bella out and that it feels like this is a completely different person. Sonia then backtracks saying it's not like she hates the change, but she just thought someone bad may have triggered this. Rosalie says she understands what Sonia means, as Sonia then smiles saying that seeing Rosalie like this relieves a lot of her worries. She says she is about to have tears as Rosalie notes this is what is expected of the lovely heroine. Later we see Dolan tell Rosalie that they have selected some candidates for the position of general officer, to which Rosalie says she already has someone in mind. He asks who might that be as someone is then seen walking in. It turns out to be Neon, a close aide to Bella and the former general officer. He says he has something to say, to which Rosalie says to tell her. Neon notes to himself how dare Rosalie leave Bella like this. He also notes that a unilateral dismissal is unacceptable. The story notes that the money Bella and Neon took for themselves is impossible to recover. Neon yells saying she has no shame as he has worked for the Duchess family for years and says that she will have to deal with the Duchess after throwing him out. He tells her if she backs out of the dismissal this time he will let it slide. Rosalie then wonders if she should teach this ugly mustache a lesson. She notes he is not from the army and that she should be more patient with nobles though. She does however decide that she needs to let him know who the real Duchess of this kingdom is. She walks over saying she has a list of all the corrupt things he has committed and that she has nothing to say to him even if she makes an immediate action for him. We see Aaron coming calling for the Duchess as Rosalie then mentions that she wanted to confirm to him that Neon will be leading the castle. He asks if she means that man, to which Neon notes it is the Knight Commander. He then tells her to leave this guy to him as he prepares to serve a knuckle sandwich. We later see Neon shout in pain as it is noted that Aaron used to suffer a lot while under Neon. Dolan then asks about who she was talking about as a replacement as she then tells her to bring back the man named Erudit. It is noted that this person was the first commoner to graduate from the academy with a perfect score and that in the novel he was the aide and general officer from the Crown Prince. She notes to herself that in this world one must always find people they can use. Later she talks to Sonia, who mentions that her father bought her a villa. Rosalie notes that must have been nice as Sonia also mentions getting dresses and jewelry as well. Someone then yells that Erudit has arrived and Rosalie says to let him in. Erudit then comes into the room. Not gonna lie, I thought he'd look more handsome, but he kinda looks like a nerd. Sonia notes she should go now as Dolan leads her out. Rosalie tells Erudit to have a seat and asks if he can start work tomorrow. She mentions the commute may be hard, but there will be a lot of overtime work for him. She starts to continue before he says he thought this was an interview and asks if she recruited him already without even asking one question. She tells him this is just her way of finding and recruiting talent quickly. This is probably the same hiring process Walmart uses, considering all the crackhead employees I run into there. For some reason Sonia looks coldly at the two and even has a scary eye watching in on them. She gives Snake the Grass vibes, not gonna lie. Rosalie says alright then before asking if he is going to change his mind. He tells her that is not the case and that he is just confused as to why she picked a commoner for this job. He then mentions that maybe she is trying to use him to cover up the corruption that the general officer committed in this kingdom. She notes little is known about where Erudit came from as she tells him that is not it. She says she will not do such a thing to him and that she chooses him purely from talent alone. She continues to think about how Erudit is an ambitious man who is definitely not cowardly and is rather unsympathetic. She calls him a man that can see through the glass. He tells her that he understands and asks if he can start working tomorrow. She tells him no problem and that a room has been prepared already, and he thanks her for the consideration and says see you tomorrow. He walks out and stands outside the door. He wonders if the rumors about the Duchess being timid were a lie, as he notes she seemed determined instead. He notes she even treated a commoner like him as a talented person and that she has the appearance of a skilled Duchess that has gone through all sorts of things. He starts to wonder what is going on as someone says they saw him earlier. It is Sonia who asks what his conversation with Rosalie was about. She mentions it must have been hard to talk to a timid person and asks if they got along well. She tells him if there is anything he can go ahead and tell her. Wait, does this mean that everyone Rosalie knew in her previous life was a female dog then? Her stepmom, of course, and even her best friend. She asks him what it is as he tells her it was nothing. He then tells her goodbye as he notes he heard this woman was a friend to the crown prince. He notes that his first impression of her is not that good and that furthermore she seems like the type to get easily swept away by emotion and make mistakes. Later we see Rosalie, who asks His Highness what he is doing. He asks her to lend a horse as she notes how foreign this feels to a modern girl like herself. He says he plans to go horseback riding and asks if the Duchess would join him, to her shock. She says she doesn't know how to and that she will let her servants bring him to the stable to get a horse. He smiles as he says he'd like the Duchess to be the one to show him the horse. She notes how annoying he is as she then says, "Follow me." Later at the beautiful stable we see the pair walk inside. She tells him he can choose whichever horse he wants and then tells him to enjoy the ride. He then asks if she'd like to try riding a horse and notes that the weather is nice after all. He tells her to get on and that he'll pull the reins. She is silent before letting out a sigh. Later they both stand beside the horse as she prepares to get on. She notes how uncomfortable this dress is as he tells her he can give her a lift and then says to please excuse him. He then lifts her up the horse. As she sits there he starts to talk about how she first needs to get used to it. He then stares before boarding himself. She mentions how he said he'd just pull the reins, to which he says it looked like the Duchess would prefer to run with the horse. He tells her he will start now and lean on him comfortably. He then says hiya as they then both charge off. Rosalie feels the breeze as she then closes her eyes and before we know it, it is sunset. Her eyes look on at the sight of mountains and the sun falling down the sky. The prince notes he never thought there was a place like this at this mansion as she notes she did not know either. They are silent before Derivis drops off first. He asks for her hand but she jumps off herself. He takes a breath before looking the other way. He tells her that an ancient saying once said that the wind blows away all your worries and that he feels that this is true. She is silent before saying he is not sure what he is worried about but that she hopes it gets resolved soon. He seems touched by the statement as he then mentions she doesn't look very interested in his concerns. She tells him she won't solve it with him but she can if he wants. He notes to himself that she is not like all the other Stitches who try to flatter everyone. She is simple as well as different, and despite her expression being empty, he likes it. At sunset we see Emma noticing something. Sonia is walking around before Emma asks if she needs anything. Sonia mentions not having seen Debbie or Rosalie anywhere as Emma mentions seeing them go horseback riding. She then points saying they are as horse strolls through the gates. This clearly angers Sonia, who starts to note he was not like that before. Emma calls for Lady Sonia and then notices something. Her face has completely changed. She walks forward and calls for Emma before asking if she has had a hard time since Rosalie changed. She holds the maid's shoulder as she mentions how she herself could give some good advice. Emma nervously tells her no thanks and that she is good. Sonia then walks away, noting it's just hard when someone you know changes so much. Dolan is closing the gates as the reins of the horse are pulled back. The horse jumps slightly upward to stop. Rosalie tells Derivis that since they are here now he should get off. As they both get off, Sonia calls for the two and asks where they have been. The prince tells her they just went out for a while and then walks right by her. Sonia then calls for Rosalie and then asks to tag along next time as she is very lonely. Rosalie apologizes and asks if she'd like some tea. Rosalie then tells Emma to prepare some tea. As the pair walk by, Emma stares at a smiling Sonia before noting something is very wrong. Rosalie walks down the large hall before someone asks her if that is a training suit. Bella calls it a vulgar outfit for a noble woman as Rosalie just completely ignores her and then tells her she may go now if she has errands. Bella yells saying nothing will change even if she has changed. This prompts Rosalie to turn and ask if Bella is afraid. Bella questions this as Rosalie asks if Bella is scared because she got ignored. Rosalie also mentions that Bella threatening her is like getting cornered by a bunch of rats. Bella then asks how dare Rosalie talk like this just because the prince is here and that when he leaves. Someone interrupts mid-sentence and questions what Bella would do once he leaves. He again asks what Bella is going to do to the Duchess as she turns to see the Crown Prince. Bella says it is nothing and just some household chores before the Crown Prince says he wonders why he and Sonia have to leave over a simple chore. Bella is silent and trembling and starts to talk about the chore before Rosalie starts stepping forward. She tells Bella to be careful what she says next time, especially since once the guests leave there is no telling what will happen to her. Bella clenches her fist as she then walks away, mentioning that she was just trying to help. Rosalie then asks if Derivis was looking for her, to which he says Lady Sonia is inviting her to tea. Rosalie tells him she will go change clothes then before he mentions that the training suit does look good on her. She sort of scoffs at this before telling him she knows and to go ahead of her to the tea. This causes him to laugh. He notes he was wondering if what Bella said bothered her, but notes that Rosalie looks different in that style. Later we see Rosalie bowing down saying they look forward to seeing him again. Sonia mentions that she will see Rosalie next time before the Crown Prince says he'll see her in a week. This annoys Sonia before Rosalie calls her name. Sonia then tells her that she will see Rosalie again at the party. The carriage then rides off as Sonia holds her head up with both arms. She not cute, so why she striking that pose? Sonia asks the Crown Prince when he and Rosalie got so close. Devi mentions it was fun and how he does not really know. Sonia mentions her change of personality was so sudden and does not fit her. She also mentions now that Bella is afraid to confront Rosalie, to which Devi says she does not need to worry about that. Sonia sits wondering what this feeling is and why it creeped on her all of a sudden. She grabs at her dress as Devi calls for her before she tells him it is nothing. Later we see someone laying down some paper. It is Gilbert the blacksmith, who mentions this is a very unusual blueprint for a crossbow. He mentions that the handle is made of wood, yet it functions like a gun and is very portable. He says he's never seen a crossbow like this before, as Rosalie mentions the wood will make it lighter than iron and easier to supply. She mentions a downside is the quality though, but she mentions that he probably know a solution to this. Gilbert mentions magic could solve this, as Rosalie notes he must be referring to enchanting magic. He notes that you can add magnification magic to the bow and use an ogre's tendon for the bowstring. This would increase the bow's range of attack while the crossbow would remain lightweight to use. I'd add Infinity 1 and Flame 1 to it as well. Rosalie asks what they should do to get the magic, as Gilbert says they can buy a magic scroll with a circle inside it, and as for the tendons, the price of those will be so high. She tells him she will handle that before asking if he'd mind taking a look at something. She asks if he is referring to that for magnification. She tells him this is a scope to help shoot more accurately and asks if he can make this one. Aaron tells her he can, despite it being the first time he's ever seen it. Rosalie then asks him what he will do after he starts making these, to which he mentions he will keep his mouth shut. Later we see someone questioning Rosalie if she is going to make an archer unit. She mentions that they are called a firing unit to be exact, and that there are some people in their ranks that are not proficient at the sword. She tells him to go round them up and create a new unit. He asks who will be the one to teach them, as she turns and says that she will. Later in the room, light peers inward. She reads a letter she wrote to someone named Moron Seth saying that she'd like to meet ahead of schedule. She is a woman who runs the largest merchant guild and was good trade partners with Derivis. Someone knocks, to which she tells them to come in. It is Emma, who says she has brought refreshments and tea, to which Rosalie thanks her. Rosalie tells Emma to give this letter to the Countess Moron Seth. Emma holds the letter before nervously calling for the Duchess. She mentions that she is in her 30s and notes that she has been working as a maid since she was young and has met a lot of people. Rosalie says to get straight to the point, to which Emma says it's that. She cannot finish as Erudit then walks in the room saying he has important matters to discuss. Emma then says never mind and that she will just say it later. Rosalie then tells Emma to not hesitate if she needs something from her. Emma says yes and thank you before rushing out the room. As she closes the door, as she notes apart from Sonia, she herself would like to ask if she could be Rosalie's friend. She notes to herself that this may be going too far. She then notes to herself that as long as Rosalie is Duchess, she will continue to take care of her. Protect this girl at all costs. Why are the maids in these types of stories so underrated? Later in the room, both Erudit and Rosalie sit in silence before someone yells about how a person like her should be able to enter the room. The maid protests this as Bella yells for them to get out of the way as she needs to see Rosalie. Bella busts right into the room and asks who decided to reduce her funds. Rosalie notes it must have been a while since Bella has received that notice. Bella mentions how she heard Rosalie was attending a party and asks if she is going in an expensive dress and jewelry. She then calls Rosalie a coward as Rosalie mentions Bella's corruption last month is worth buying a lot of jewelry. Bella says what as Rosalie mentions Bella can sell all her luxuries if he wants her money back. Rosalie then also says that if Bella comes into her room with nonsense one more time, she will cut the flesh off of her arm. Bella stares down in fear and her hand trembles at the blade. She notes that Rosalie is out of her mind as Rosalie then yells at the maid. She tells the maid to take Bella away as the maid asks if Lady Bella is alright. Erudit stares on as he notes that's why they call her the Devil Duchess. She notes that the rumor must be spreading all over the place as Erudit says she is quite famous. He says that if this offends her she should make some money instead and just go. She tells him no and not yet. Later we see Rosalie in a crowd of people as her knights mention to each other that they should go to the square. Rosalie mentions to them there is a training ground in the other mansion to their dismay. Someone then tells the Duchess that Butler Martin is waiting in the mansion. She tells Erudit to take care of the mansion while she is away as he tells her he can handle this. She then tells her men to go as they then arrive at a big tall building. The carriage rolls through as she stares outside. Emma notes that the Duchess might get blind once the portal commences, to which Rosalie says she will watch it since it's been a while since she'd seen one. A light appears as the carriage is under a magic circle. A poof then occurs as they then have now arrived. Rosalie starts to walk out as she notes how boring that was. Outside she stares ahead at the Duchess' capital residence. Many greet her saying it is a pleasure meeting her this morning as she then starts to walk through. She notes to herself that this is why Dolan told her the capital residence was beautiful. She then calls for Emma to bring her some comfortable clothing to wear. Rosalie then puts on a new fit. Kind of looks like a Western cowgirl fit, to be honest. Someone asks if she is able to leave without an escort as he mentions it might be dangerous for her out there. Aaron grabs onto the guy named Arthur and mentions to him that if he touches her he'd likely have some broken bones and missing fingers. Rosalie says she brought her dagger and they are in the capital under broad daylight, so there is no need to worry. Arthur then tells her that he is hoping for her safety then. Later out on the streets we see Rosalie walking around with a hood on. She notes how lovely it is here, especially with all the kids running around. Someone says let's go as a kid yells it hurts. She notes guys like him are everywhere as the guy continues to drag the kid before Rosalie reaches her hand out. She grabs the kid away from him as he asks who she is. She then leaps forward and puts a dagger to his throat and shocks him. She tells him to turn around as he notes he is screwed. She asks for his motive with the child as he is in tears. He mentions that kids like him are expensive, so he wanted to take him home. Rosalie asks if the little boy can move and go call on some guards. The kid runs off as she looks on. She then turns back and asks for him to guide her to his whereabouts. Later in a dark alley we see a bunch of kind and respectable men in society asking Oren where the kids are. Oren then falls over as Rosalie carries a bloody knife. They ask who she is as she then goes on a rampage and slashes the other guy as well. Someone yells that women must be the leader and to get her as Rosalie is surrounded. Debbie for some reason is here as well. He asks the Duchess what she is doing as she turns and recognizes that voice. She then asks what His Highness is doing as he is tied up. She tells her he is playing as she notes he must be crazy. He then notes that since the Duchess has now appeared he should probably finish this off. The men wonder how he did that as he then says if they are confronting the Crown Prince they must know how to handle things like this. Rosalie then says she'll go left and he mentions he'll go right. The men hold hands as they shout in fear. Later a knight asks if the two of them finished off the thugs, to which Rosalie says that is right. He then asks who she is, to which she asks if that matters. She tells him she is a nobleman and that he must not dare to know. She tells him the man behind her is her knight and that they should do their job and take care of those fools. Rosalie notes Derivis probably wants to hide his identity from them as if they knew it things would just get more complicated. The man then says they have to tell him who they are as someone then shouts. The man from before is in pain as Rosalie asks if he still wants to know. The knights then say that's all they need to know and that they will move now. He tells Derivis that it's best if they leave now and tells him to go. He stares at her and blushes before saying he understands. He later asks how she knew he wanted to hide his identity, to which she mentions she noticed it. He also says she is good with daggers and as she tells him she is heading home to clean up. He tells her that was cool of her and says to use this cloth as she says no thanks. He tells her he has done her a favor as Rosalie says she will use it as thanks then. He then tells her to call him by name as she mentions how disrespectful this is to His Highness. Later we see people shout 1-2 and Rosalie stares on. She notes the troops seem to be handling it well now as some men do sit-ups. She decides to make it a little harder then. Later we see exhausted men wondering how many times they need to do this and how it's worse than usual. They wonder who decided to wake up the devil as one mentions it is not time to worry about what happened to the Duchess yesterday. Someone then comes in saying a guest has arrived, to which she asks what Derivis is doing here. He says he wanted to hang out with her as she does not seem to have scheduled work. She asks how he knew that, to which he says the butler as it looks like he is burnt out. The butler then asks why the Crown Prince is here as Derivis tells him to hang out with the princess. He mentions that they can enjoy the capital better than anyone else. They both stare at one another as Rosalie then asks if he really likes hanging out with her that much. He then tells her if it's not fun he will not ask her again in the future. She is silent before telling Emma to bring a coat. Later in the town a man seems to be proposing a gambling game as someone wonders if they should try it. The gambling man mentions these people are stupid as this is all a trick before Debbie continues to say this seems fun. The crook notes his clothes look expensive and then asks Debbie to give it a try and try to match the cards. Rosalie says it is better if he doesn't before Debbie drops down some gold racks. The guy mentions there are 3 difficulties and asks which he'd like to try as Debbie says he wants the same level as the prize. The man flips over some cards and asks him to pick one. Debbie then grabs Rosalie's hands and tells her to join him and make a bet. He tells her the winner can make any wish they'd like. She tells him that it is great but that they will play by themselves. They both appear seated as they both then yell start. Debbie says he sees and Rosalie yells this one. The dealer wonders how as Debbie notes it seems like he has won. Rosalie then grabs the dealer and asks for the money. A pouch can be seen as someone asks if they got all the money. She tells him it is not enough to reward cheaters like him as he mentions she is funny and notes a noble woman never would have played that seriously before. Later they shoot arrows as Debbie wins again. They play cards but she also loses to him again. They even play a board game to which she loses and she wonders why she keeps losing so much. Debbie says he feels sorry for the Duchess and she notes he truly does not at all. She notes she should at least win a shooting game though as Debbie notes how competitive she is. He then opens his eyes as he notes he has been having too much fun lately. Later at dusk we see them both staring down. Rosalie notes her feet hurt from walking now as she notes there should be a shoe store around here. Debbie then says please excuse me and he sweeps her out her feet. She asks what the hell he is doing as he mentions her feet hurt. People stare as she is later seen seated. He tells her to wait here for a moment as he then runs off. Later he calls for her as she then asks where he has been and why he left. He then pulls a Cinderella and says she has been walking a lot today and says he cannot believe she can still walk with all that pain. She tells him she can do that herself as he tells her to stay still. Yes, stay still so I can take a screenshot of this as well. He asks her how it feels to meet the crown prince as he notes this should be the first time a royal has knelt for her. She tells him he is much nicer than she had assumed as he says he is glad to hear that. She thanks his highness as he wonders if they should try another shoe store. She tells him this one is comfortable to use and tells him they should go to the next stall. He smiles as he tells her to slow down. She mentions that they should bring Sonia to hang out next time but he tells her no as having her here is enough for him to have fun. He tells her she is a good friend but very boring to play with. She notes that in the novel Derivis felt rational feelings for Sonia but that this does not matter to her now as her battle is more important than romance. Later someone mentions they heard the Duchess is coming today. Someone notes the last time they talked she ran away and was timid. They wonder if something is going on with her before noting that they are glad Sonia is kind enough to take care of the Duchess. They then talk about how it is an honor for Sonia to have a close relationship with the prince and then talk about the rumor of Rosalie and the crown prince in the capital. Our female lead is then welcomed in as Duchess Rosalie Judehart. The people around her murmur amongst themselves asking if this is the timid Duchess they once knew before someone else mentions how Rosalie was not like this before. As Rosalie walks into the room like the baddest mother at first she spots Bella within the crowd and wonders where Marquis of Wendell is. Someone then yells into the crowd welcoming His Highness the Crown Prince. All the ladies blush as Derivis then appears and stands before Rosalie. He mentions how the shoes she wore yesterday were beautiful and that they are today as well. Rosalie maintains a stone face as someone then calls for Debbie and Rosalie. It's our friendly neighborhood snake named Sonia. She asks if Debbie went out with Rosalie yesterday and says that she is saddened by this. She then notes that the music has started and then calls for Derivis. Sonia gets completely ignored as Debbie asks if the princess remembers the bet they made yesterday and tells her that he wants his wish fulfilled today. Sonia stands in complete silence before turning around and slithering off. Rosalie asks if he can think of something other than dancing with her, to which Debbie asks if that is her wish. She angrily says yes, to which Derivis then notes that he'll just have to ask her to dance next time. Rosalie then says if that is the case then she shall go meet with someone now then. Debbie asks if she is referring to her lover, to which she just says no. Debbie then happily says that he sees. He tells her if that is so then she may leave now. Rosalie then proceeds to wander around looking for Marquis of Wendell. She then spots Bella and him together as they finally meet. She notes how the real battle has finally started as Dumb and Dumber then exits the room. As Rosalie monitors them, some girl in red heels says hey to the Duchess of Judehart. It is Bianca Bright, who is the second daughter of Marquis Bright. Bianca says it is a pleasure to meet the Duchess and mentions how she seems close with the Crown Prince. Rosalie walks by her saying they are not as close as she thinks, which causes Bianca to turn with a glare. Bianca then tries to throw her drink at Rosalie, but our skilled mommy catches it without spilling a drop. This stuns the crowd as Rosalie then tells the lady that she needs to train her grip. This further infuriates the pick-me girl. As the girl runs off, Rosalie notes how this seems to be the original villain who had a crush on Derivis. During the novel, this girl had hired a kidnapper to abduct Sonia only to be saved by the crown prince later on. As Bianca continues to storm off, a lady watching from a distance lets out a smile. She flaps her fan open as she notes how Rosalie is quite an interesting person. This lady would turn out to be a countess named Seth. Later outside the palace, Rosalie walks alone thinking about how no one is out here as well as how nice and quiet it is. She notes that Bella and Marquis of Wendell have probably finished their sweet talk by now, as a boot can then be seen. She then is surrounded by a bunch of NPCs wearing masks. She stares around, noting how there are 8 of them and that they seem to wear those masks to decorate their face. Rosalie then removes her heels and flings one of them at a thug's face. She then hits him with a nasty uppercut as she notes how these guys seem to lack strength. She grabs the man's sword as she notes how it'd have been nicer to have her dagger. She then slices his neck as the other men stare. Rosalie's golden eyes stare as someone then charges at her before a sword is then seen flying in the air. She has the man in a chokehold with a necklace as someone then grabs her from behind. They cover her mouth likely with sleep poison as she then stares down and says a non-monetizable word. Her eyes close as one man shouts about how they lost 3 men because of her. They then yell about how they should get paid more to beat Rosalie up. Rosalie's eyes are still open as the man tells Bianca she did not tell them this girl would be skilled. Rosalie lays with her hands tied as she now realizes it was Bianca behind this. Rosalie notes how this is likely due to the rumors of her and Derivis being out yesterday, which basically means the story got twisted. She notes how she needs to loosen the rope up as the guard assigned to her mentions how noisy everyone is. Rosalie rustles around as the man then steps over, mentioning how the drug seems to have little effect on her. Rosalie notes that he is getting closer and then gives him an uppercut kick. The men scramble inside wondering what's going on as they then stare at Rosalie, who finally has a dagger. A man then grabs Bianca, telling her to come with him. He tells Rosalie that if she moves an inch he'll cut Bianca, as Bianca then yells asking what he is doing and if he forgot who his boss is. Rosalie says that non-monetizable word again and notes how this is all getting on her nerves. Meanwhile at the party, someone yells having finally noticed that the Duchess of Judehart has gone missing. This shocks Debbie as later we see Sonia discover Rosalie's necklace and shoes on the floor. Sonia turns to tell Derivis about what she has found but is stunned by the sight of him. He grimly tells her and his men to search the entire palace immediately. Later in some dark stairway we see Rosalie's necklace being thrown into someone's hands. The person asks why Debbie is not saying a word, to which he tells this individual to find the owner of the necklace immediately. The person mentions they're already searching carefully before asking whose necklace is it. Debbie then calls the person Nathan and again tells him to go find her. Nathan asks if there is anything else he needs to do, to which Debbie says to kill off everyone except the woman with blonde hair. Later we see Rosalie actually struggling, noting how she thought this would have been easy for her to handle. Later we see all the stupid NPCs have been taken out while Rosalie clashes with Nathan. He tells her to get out of his way as Rosalie seems to be defending the female dog. Rosalie notes how this man appears to be Nathan as he leans over, saying she looks calm but her heart is beating faster than he thought, making this very fun. Rosalie notes how in the original this was the man the crown prince ordered to rescue Sonia, but also that he originally never ordered to kill Bianca. Rosalie asks if the crown prince sent him, to which Nathan retracts his blade, asking how she knows. He then tells her he must first finish his task and then asks her to move out of the way. Rosalie tells herself this can't be happening, as if Bianca dies then the Marquis of Bright will get involved. The worst case scenario would be a huge problem occurring in her territorial war plan. Rosalie tries to think of an idea as she then recalls back to when she read that Nathan is actually wholesome with a soft spot for sweet things. She then tells him that they have a famous chocolate artisan in their family and also mentions that Bianca's residence has a famous candy maker as well. She tells him if he lets Bianca go then she promises to give him chocolate and candy, which causes Nadon to lick his lips. Nathan asks if Debbie would be mad at him, to which Rosalie says she will convince him not to. Nathan then becomes way sweeter as he says this is nice. Rosalie meanwhile notes how easy he is to trick and how tired she is. Nathan then mentions that the blonde woman must come with him first, as Rosalie says hold on. She calls for a weeping Bianca and tells her to look up. She shakes the pink-haired idiot as she then tells Bianca that she is not the culprit in this. She then asks if Bianca knows who to call if anything happens. Nathan tells Rosalie that they need to go as Debbie is already waiting for her. They then proceed to leave and walk into a room. Rosalie turns her eyes to see shadowy Debbie, who asks what Rosalie would like him to do to the mastermind behind this. He asks if she'd like him to cut off their limbs for her. She calls for His Highness as he then asks if he should destroy their precious home. He tells her that he'll give them any revenge that she wants and is willing to make them shed as many tears and blood as she'd like. She then grabs his hand and yells his name. She tells him that she won't die easily, as long as the US don't drop another bomb, of course. Her comment stuns him as he then tells her that he is glad that she has come back alive. Rosalie then says she has a favor for him as he tells her to spill it. She tells him to not mind those guys and to just move on as Devi asks why. He also mentions kidnapping a noble like her is high treason as well. She tells him there's something better they can do as she pleads with him. She wonders to herself why he seems so mad as he then says he will agree but has a condition to make. He says he would like to know of the Duchess's true intention. This shocks our female lead as she then tries to protest but is interrupted by Nathan, who says it is getting late and they should head back. Debbie notes it is late and then tells Rosalie that he will take her home as he places his coat over her. As he walks, bubbles seem to float in the air around her. As she stands in silence, Nathan mentions that it was a pleasure to meet her as she then tells him her name is Rosalie. He says goodbye Rosalie as she notes how he looks like a cat in that pose. Outside the building, Rosalie tells Debbie that she will tell him more about what had happened later, but for now would like to keep what happened a secret. Debbie takes a breath before mentioning how the Duchess has so many requests for him. This slightly annoys Rosalie as the horse then rides off with Debbie saying a non-monetizable word. Later, while in a dark room, we see Boots walk in. Debbie is then slumped over on the couch as he notes how things are really starting to get interesting now. He recalls back to her slipper and mentions how he'd love to twist and kill every human who touches Rosalie. He then starts to recall images of her face, and then her eyes as he then clenches his fist, saying that he'll just have to endure this for a little longer. Side note, but this lighting is making him look kinda. Later, Rosalie reads the newspaper article that talks about how mercenaries were caught entering the palace during the gala. Mommy is looking extra fine today as she notes how they should have been called kidnappers instead. She recalls how mad Debbie was at what happened and how she asked him to keep the situation a secret as a favor. She then notes how this could turn into a big issue for the crown prince though. The maid then yells that a guest has arrived as Rosalie says she'll be heading over now. Rosalie then thanks Countess Seth for coming as the Countess notes how interesting the letter Rosalie sent was. The Countess mentions how she just read the paper today and asks if she should come back another time or not. Rosalie says that it is okay and there is no need for that before thanking the Countess for accepting her letter. The Countess then says she is glad to be here with Rosalie and asks what the Duchess would like to buy from her business. Rosalie mentions how she'd like to buy enchanted scrolls and orange tendons in bulk. The Countess remarks how it seems as though Rosalie is making a weapon as she then mentions it's not a guarantee her business will provide those items in bulk as orange tendons are in high demand while being hard to obtain. Rosalie then states that she'll want it over the next 3 years then and that they will reduce the custom taxes on the LDC without any conditions. The LDC is an important delivery route between the Imperial Palace and Lentil Kingdom, which also makes it the place where the most expensive taxes are collected. The Countess mentions how surprising this proposal is since it's a major source of income for this duchy. Rosalie tells the Countess to just make sure their business with her trade is kept secret as the Countess stares back. She then says no problem as she closes her fan and then tells Rosalie that she will send a contract and the items to her duchy as soon as possible. Rosalie mentions how quick this decision came, to which the Countess says that it's a good deal on both ends and that she also got the chance to meet the Duchess of Judehart. The Countess then says Rosalie is the first person to talk to her properly other than the Crown Prince. Her nasty scar that is very reminiscent of Zuko's is then shown. She's still a MILF though no cap. Rosalie asks if that is so as she internally notes how she's seen plenty of scars like that in her life. The MILF then says that Rosalie is a very interesting person to talk to as Rosalie tells her she doesn't know why she's been hearing that compliment so much recently. Countess giggles as she notes how the Duchess is really cute as well. Later we hear Rosalie telling Sonia that she is good. Sonia asks if Rosalie is sure and asks where it hurts, to which Rosalie says that she is sure. Sonia then asks if Rosalie was really rescued by the guards as she did not see Rosalie near the garden. Rosalie wonders if she heard this from Derivis and how unexpected this is. She then notes that if she denies this the prince will get embarrassed, so Rosalie tells Sonia to just not worry about what happened. The snake has that Arthur meme moment as she clenches her fist thinking about Debbie and Rosalie together. Rosalie then calls for Sonia as Sonia then grabs Rosalie's hands and says it is nothing. She says that she heard Rosalie would not be attending the ball today and mentions how running into those types of men again would be bad and surely would cause Rosalie to lose her dignity. Rosalie angrily pulls her hand away from the scaly reptile as she starts to speak. The Judas then acts fake as hell, saying she needs to go to the ball now and tells Rosalie to take care. The snake then slithers off away from Rosalie as Rosalie stands in silence. She has a noticeably angry expression on her face. The day gets bright as someone tells the Duchess she has a guest, to which Rosalie says she does not recall inviting anyone. The guy says it is the pick-me girl Bianca, as Rosalie wonders what the hell Bianca is doing here, especially when she just wants to rest. She then wonders if the girl will be here to make a ruckus and try to splash water on her again. Rosalie tells Martin to not bring the carriage and to not let anyone in, as Martin mentions how Bianca is a guest and doesn't even have a carriage with her. Rosalie walks by before angrily saying she will knock out all of Bianca's precious teeth. Later the two sit face to face. Rosalie asks why she came to see her, as she internally hopes Bianca does not surrender. Bianca then says she would like to apologize, which comes as unexpected to our female lead. Bianca then also says that she would like to call Rosalie her uni, which basically means older sister. This stuns Rosalie as she asks what Bianca is saying. Bianca then sits right by Rosalie and again begs to be allowed to call Rosalie uni. Rosalie asks why though, to which Bianca talks about how even though she kidnapped Rosalie, Rosalie still saved her. Bianca then talks about how she cannot get that moment out of her mind, as Rosalie is stone-faced before trying to get Bianca to listen to her. Bianca again then asks to call her uni and then shyly says it's not that big of a deal. Rosalie then tells Lady Bianca to call her whatever she likes, which draws out a smile. She then cheers as Rosalie notes how they are both supposed to be 20. Bianca says that's okay and that if she was born a day later she'd be 19. Bianca then says Rosalie is so cool, so she deserves to be called uni. She then gleefully says she thought Rosalie would be mad about it but is so happy that Rosalie accepted this. Rosalie then mentions how she heard Bianca had an older brother and younger brother, as Bianca tells Rosalie to not mind them. She then tells Rosalie to stop by her salon sometime for fun, as Rosalie gives it a thought. A salon in this world refers to a place where gatherings are held. Rosalie thinks about how luxury is a common topic in this period and that rumors judging others on appearance have become a big issue. She also notes how Sonia would have a hard time dealing with this. Bianca stares as Rosalie ponders before Bianca calls for uni. She asks if Rosalie is a close friend with the daughter of Count Ammons, which causes Rosalie to stare back at her. Later in the dead of night we see Rosalie frustrated and holding onto her head. She recalls when Bianca asked if she was close with Sonia, to which Rosalie mentioned that they are childhood friends at least. She notes to herself that Sonia is a close friend with the real Rosalie, to be more exact. Bianca mentions how she can't get along with Sonia before yelling about how she now has a chance to get close with the daughter of Count Ammons thanks to uni. Moments later we see that Rosalie is having Bianca escorted out as she yells about wanting to have dinner with Sonia. What's so appealing about having dinner with snakes? Rosalie then decides to think of something else and notes how great Erudit's work is. She notes that due to this she will be giving him a complimentary note today. The note mentions how his work is neat and how he did an amazing job. Rosalie tells herself it was fun pretending to not be shy as Arudit stares at the letter. As he does so, Rosalie notes how she might get into a bad habit of sending out complimentary letters starting today. Later a crowd of people are seen in what appears to be the town. Some hooded individuals can be seen as one asks where the Intelligence Guild is. It turns out to be Rosalie, as a man tells her it is over there. He tells her to go straight as they proceed forward. A figure seems to be watching them as Rosalie notices it with the side of her eye. She then moves quickly, which shocks her men. They ask where she is going all of a sudden, as a street vendor then tells Rosalie they sell good jewelry here. Rosalie picks up a piece of jewelry as she mentions how someone is following them. The two men are stunned as she gives them the coordinates and description of the individual. She then tells them the plan has changed and that they will be heading to the alley. They then move off as Rosalie then turns a corner while her two men walk right behind her. The hooded individual is right on their tail. Rosalie turns as she mentions how hard it would have been to have taken this guy out at the market. Her men then turn as well as they reveal their weapons. One of them goes for a slash as the hooded individual dodges. He then yells no as the other individual puts his hand on the floor and then launches a kick. Toronto yells for Whitney as something goes right towards him. The hit lands as we then see Toronto slumped over a broken barrel. The hooded individual stands still before approaching Rosalie. She opens her mouth as she then asks Nathan what he is doing, to which he just greets her. He asks how she found out he was tailing her, to which she tells him to knock it off and asks why he followed her. He tells her he was just out for a walk until he smelled something sweet coming from her bag. Rosalie opens it wondering if Emma put these in here. She recalls back to when she asked Emma for chocolate as Nathan yells for chocolate. She then notes how she did not need it today before just tossing the bag over to Nathan. She notes how had it not been running into him she'd likely have thrown them away. He then asks what she is doing here and mentions that her knights will be out for a while, so he will let her know when they are well again. Rosalie angrily notes how he is saying this when he was the one who knocked them out. She tells him she is going to her intelligence guild as she has to meet someone. He asks if she is looking for someone to do something special, as she tells him that's right. He tells her if it is special then he should tag along. She asks if he is serious, to which he tells her they should move to a different place for now. He then proceeds to carry the knights and walk off. He then stops as he tells her not to worry as he is capable of this. He then smiles as she tells him she knows he is. She also notes how he's not even struggling to carry 2 people, as he then says it'd be better if helped her with her task. Rosalie covers her mouth to think before saying fine and that they should move on. As they walk, Rosalie notes how she has no clue what he's thinking, but at least he is considerate. She stares as she then notes how his skills would likely be able to notice and discern Bella's motives. In addition to that, he is someone that is easy to approach. Later, in some dingy place, Rosalie asks if Nathan lives here. He mentions to her about how he has good ears and how noisy it can be outside, so staying here should do. He then carelessly drops the man's body to the ground like those employees at the airport. This leaves Rosalie speechless as Nathan strikes a match and lights up a candle while asking what he can do for her. Rosalie takes a seat before mentioning how she needs to make sure he can do it. He then sits right next to her and asks her to just tell him. Side note, but why is this dude always in a sports bra? He mentions that if she tells him he'll do it for her. Rosalie mentions how she did not expect him to agree to this before asking if there is a reason for that. He tells her he just wants to have fun with the dear Rosalie. Rosalie thinks about the have fun statement for a moment before Nathan mentions how either way she already knows him and how he's capable of pretty much anything. Rosalie then mentions the name of her dog-faced stepmother Bella. She tells him to get close with this woman and watch her every move. She tells him to have a close enough relationship with this creature to where he can change her mind. Nathan tells her he understands and that this should be an easy task, but he will try his very best. Rosalie tells him she can handle the rest and will give him a reward for all this. She then walks over to her knights and asks how long they plan to stay asleep for. The 2 men start to wake up and wonder if this is a nightmare since they hear the voice of a devil. They then look up to see a very angry Rosalie who tells them to wake up now or else she'll knock him around all day till he passes out again. Toronto yells Duchess as he then asks where he is. He also wonders who the hell the redhead is. The pair of knights then stand up saying he kidnapped them as Rosalie tells them to stop talking nonsense and follow her. The 2 stare as Rosalie gets farther away. They then nervously ask if the Duchess is hurt, to which she says no and that they are leaving. Later on we see Rosalie in a white dress as she then picks up a letter. It is Bianca who fawns over Rosalie and begs to see her, to which Rosalie notes how annoying this is. She then places the letter on top of a cupboard as she then lays in bed, noting how much things she has to think about. She then sits right back up in bed after sensing something before grabbing a dagger from her cupboard. The knock persists as she stares at the balcony door. She then opens it and walks into the night air. Someone tells her that it has gotten a lot easier to see her now. We see Debbie in black leaning on her balcony. Rosalie asks him to explain why an intruder would politely knock on her door like that. He seems stunned by this comment as he then says she should be more considerate to guests who come at night without a notice. He also then mentions her clothes as Rosalie then tells him to have a seat and that she'll put on a jacket. He then looks away as he tells her he is sorry for visiting without reminding her first, to which she tells him he did a good job with that today. Debbie notes how he's not sure if that's even a compliment. Rosalie then places her dagger down as she says she wants to repay him for listening to her favor. He then stares back at her as he says he does not want to be repaid but wants her to spill everything including her plan. She asks why he would care about such a thing, to which he says that he would be worried if anything happens to her. Rosalie wonders if he's scared Sonia would be involved as she notes how dangerous it is that her plans are getting more attention than she anticipated. She then decides that she has no choice but to tell him so she can keep him away from her plans as soon as possible. Debbie then decides she does not have to mention her plans but also says that if anything happens to her he will not hesitate to do as he sees fit. He closes his eyes as he says he promises her that. He then gets stunned as she straight up tells him she and the Marquis Wendell will have a territory war. She tells him that she will be preparing for this as soon as possible. She then mentions how there already are suspicious rumors about His Highness and herself, so it'd be impossible for Marquis of Wendell to let this go. Debbie holds his head as he now understands why she stopped him now and then asks if she is ready for a full-on territory war. She tells him she plans on stepping down from head of the manor, to which Debbie asks what will happen then. He then notes how he did not expect the Duchess to be this reckless as she tells him she hears that a lot. She then says that there is no need for him to do anything regardless of what her plans are. He stares as she then tells him to please return home safe. As she looks forward, he lets out a smile as he then starts to walk out. He tells her we will see about that. Later in the morning, we see the sun shine on the manor. Maids and butlers carry in all sorts of treats as someone dashes by, creating a cloud of dust. Bianca hugs her Uni as Rosalie then tells her she could have just sent her servants instead of coming here. Bianca responds by saying she wanted to see Rosalie and says that if Rosalie wants more sweets then to just let her know. She then hugs Rosalie and asks to go shopping together, to which Rosalie says it will be hard to keep promises but she will try. Bianca then says if that's so then they should go now. Later we see Bianca staring around in the wardrobe as Rosalie keeps her dull face. Bianca tells Rosalie to look at this dress as Rosalie blandly says it suits her. Bianca rummages through the other clothes as she then asks to wrap this one. The lady says understood as Bianca then runs to Rosalie with another dress. She asks if it looks pretty, to which Rosalie says it looks beautiful on her. As Rosalie looks at Bianca, she wonders why this girl is one of the novel's villains. A girl then accidentally bumps into Bianca before apologizing. Bianca then turns it up as she asks if the girl is looking down on her. She scolds the lady as the other women continues to apologize. Rosalie watches as she notes Bianca is mean. The lady continues to apologize and asks if there is anything she can do as she bumps into a mannequin. As it falls, Bianca looks back and her eyes darken before we see that Rosalie has shielded Bianca from it. Rosalie tells the ladies it's better if they put these near the wall, to which they rush to fix the situation. Bianca then wants to have another go at being a female dog, but Rosalie tells her to stop. Rosalie says she hopes Bianca won't be mad at them anymore as they have apologized. Bianca smiles at this as she says she got it. Someone then calls for the pair as we then see a familiar reptile. Bianca notes how she never let Lady Ammon say her name as Rosalie tells her to just stop. She says okay Uni, which seems to trigger Sonia. She asks if they were shopping, to which Bianca rudely says of course. Rosalie says she will talk to Sonia for a moment and asks for a vacant room, to which one of the workers says she'll guide them there. Bianca is left outside of the room like a dog as inside Sonia mentions how she thought Rosalie knew that Lady Bright and her don't get along. She then asks how Rosalie could get close to Bianca despite knowing that. Rosalie then starts to talk about how things started at the ball before Sonia interrupts asking what happened at the ball while clenching her fists. She tells Rosalie that no matter how many times she asks Daddy he won't tell her, and that Rosalie and him seem to have a secret that they won't tell her. Rosalie tells Sonia to calm her tits down as she will explain everything now. She also says that she can call Bianca in to apologize if she wants, as Sonia then asks how Rosalie could do something she can't. Rosalie asks what she means as Sonia then calls Rosalie's name. She tells Rosalie to keep her distance from Lady Bright and to just listen to her advice as per usual. This prompts Rosalie to say there is no need to listen to Sonia's advice, which riles up the snake even more. She then turns to slither away again without saying another word. Bianca peeks in the room before going in and asking if Uni is okay. Rosalie says she is fine before saying she is a little tired today so they should finish this shopping session later, to which Bianca says sure. Rosalie and Bianca both share a smile. Later in the evening we see Bianca humming in a carriage as she notes how she can't believe Uni patted her head. She then stares outside and sees a snake on the side of the road. She recalls overhearing Rosalie ask if Sonia wants Bianca to apologize to her. She then yells to stop the carriage as she then calls for Lady Ammons. Sonia refers to her as Lady Bright as Bianca brushes her hair back. Bianca says she knows she has been rude to Sonia and that she has caused her trouble. Due to this, she apologizes for all she has done to her as Sonia can't stop shaking. Sonia mentions how Bianca pushed her away even when she was being kind to her, to which Bianca says she is right. Bianca then mentions that Sonia is just pretending to be kind though, which is fair, but that most of all Sonia enjoys being superior to everyone. This enrages Sonia as Bianca continues to talk about how Sonia takes pride in this, as Sonia then yells about how she's never done that to anyone. She tells Bianca that is not something she brag about and asks what the hell Bianca is saying. Bianca goes on mentioning how Sonia is even proud of the fact that she can do whatever she wants with Uni and the Crown Prince. Sonia starts to ask when she ever did that, but Bianca covers her mouth as she laughs. She mentions how funny it is that Sonia isn't even aware of all this. Bianca tells her not to pretend that she has not bragged about it, as Bianca has overheard her tell many people that she gives the Duchess advice. Bianca then walks back to her carriage as she mentions that's one of the many reasons she hates her. The snake thinks about how she does not believe she ever did that and that she still does not get what Bianca is talking about. Bianca then tells her she does not care if Sonia is pretending to be kind, but also warns her to not speak recklessly to Uni next time. Sonia tells herself she has never done that, as someone behind her agrees. It appears to be a shadow clone jutsu, as the other snake tells Sonia she was just helping a friend. The clone mentions how it was just surprising how Rosalie got that close with Lady Bright and that she's been betrayed by Rosalie. The voice tells her that it is Rosalie's fault for having such an arrogant heart. The sun shines again as Rosalie stands speechless after having done 5 days of continuous work. She notes how Emma has asked her to go for a walk, so here she is. Rosalie wonders if Emma liked the scarf she gave her, as she recalls Emma thanking her. Someone then calls for Rosalie as she then turns. It turns out to be Bella, who stands by a blonde dude and says it was unexpected that Rosalie did not show up to the first day of the ball. She also mentions that it appears as though Rosalie made up the rumors about the prince. To this, Rosalie says whether she made it up or not, why does Bella even care? This irks the old hag, who then says she does not really care about that, before Rosalie says if that is so, then Bella should not bother her again and go. Bella angrily asks if Rosalie just said she annoyed her, as the blonde man tries to hold her back. The guy tells her to please stop, as Bella then points, asking if Rosalie thinks Bella's only here because of her. Bella walks by and the man does so as well. As he does, Rosalie tells him to come and visit her later tonight. The blonde Nathan carries on as Bella takes an angry breath. Later at night, Rosalie is going through her letters as she notes how Sonia has not contacted her in a while. She wonders if Sonia was always like this or if there is something going on with her. Rosalie then picks up one letter in particular. A man then tells the Duchess that he has prepared everything for her visit to the manor tomorrow and that it seems she will be quite busy tomorrow as well. She then says it should be okay if she just leaves these here and says they will use the portal. The man says yes and asks if he should get her a carriage. She tells him no and that it is fine before he says he will now leave first. The door closes as Rosalie then opens her balcony door yet again for another man. It's the redhead Nathan, who he greets her with a smile. She mentions how his hair is longer, to which he tells her it is thanks to this magic ring. He then laughs as she remains stone-faced. He then tells her this pendant has allowed him to use the portal that leads to the Duchess's house. With her being the Duchess, this means he can teleport to her seamlessly all the time. Rosalie notes how since she gave that pendant to him, it appears as though he's been testing it out, to which she mentions she does not hate that. She then tells him to report Bella's movements every 4 days, and that pendant makes this much more convenient. She says she will pay him if he reports to her, which can be in candy or anything. He tells her more than anything she can just give him the kind of compliment he wants as he grabs her chin. She tells him to put his hands away from her if he wants anything nice from her, as Nathan tries to act cute, saying please. She pushes his face away as she says she will if he just stops, to which he asks if she really will. He then grabs her hand and kisses it as he says he will see her in 4 days then. The sun shines extra bright as people talk near a carriage. Rosalie walks out as someone tries to ask her something. She questions if everything is alright as her butler bows saying yes, and he asks if she enjoyed her time in the capital. Rosalie says she guesses as she recalls all the events that had happened, including getting kidnapped and going out with Devi. She then calls for Erudit to meet her at the office and he says understood. Later in the office, she tells him his paperwork was well written and very good, as he tells her that is a relief. She then continues to say that thanks to him she does not need to worry. Erudit then mentions how the increase in the knight's salary and the reconstruction of their lands will soon be a huge part of their expenses. He also goes on about how their merchant sales are lower than their expenditures and that a good balance is important, so they should start paying attention to public taxes. Rosalie grabs her cup of tea and takes a sip and says they should sell the Gordic mine if that is the case. Erudit then argues that it is a mining facility full of valuable raw stones, though, as Rosalie then argues that they will run out soon anyways. She then says it is best to sell it now while there are still many reserves still in there. Rosalie mentions to herself how there was not precise info on the Misha Empire's lifestone reserves, but that in the novel people were wrong about the presence of lifestones in the titanium mining facility. Erudit has a dark expression on his face as he mentions how rumors will circulate from this that the Duchess plans to bankrupt the country. This causes Rosalie to give off a sinister look as she says that is exactly what she wants. She notes how when Marquis of Wendell hears this rumor, then she can finally lure him into the bait. Erudit stands as he says he hopes her decision is temporary and that he suggests she thinks about it carefully. She thanks him for his advice. As he walks away, he notes how all the responsibility and consequences will lie with the Duchess's choices, but that for some reason he feels like there is something wrong. Outside, a man seems to be showing off how big his scissors are to a girl. Erudit walks by the three as the people then start to discuss how he is a commoner, as someone else mentions thinking he was a noble. Erudit stops at the sound of all this as someone then mentions how Erudit is getting used like a tool or how he might be the Duchess's concubine instead. He clenches his fist as he notes how this keeps happening to him. He then hears someone ask why they are still here, which shocks him. Rosalie stands right by him before walking past him and asking the people to repeat what they had said. They all stop barking and cower in fear as Rosalie asks if they want her to break some of their fingers. The three idiots then kneel to the floor as they beg her for forgiveness. Rosalie crosses her arms as she mentions how they are apologizing to the wrong person. They then apologize to Erudit and promise to not say such things again. Erudit seems nervous as he tries to say it is fine before the butler comes in asking what is happening. Rosalie says he came at the right time as Rosalie tells him to fire all the gardeners and employees involved in this without severance pay. She then grabs Erudit's arm as she tells him to let her know if anything like this happens again, as she does not want him to be treated like this. She tells him they should go now as his eyes stare at her with a sparkle. They then walk off together as the hallway to the manor can be seen. Erudit asks the Duchess how far they are going, which causes her to turn back. She tells him they are going away from there and that she does not want to see his face turning gloomy. He pulls his hand away from her as he mentions how delicate she is. He asks why she is being so nice to him, especially as he is just a commoner. Rosalie tells him it's not important to her if he is a commoner or not. She tells Erudit that she really needs him and that he is one of her helpers, so she will take care of him. Erudit stares back at her as she puts her hand on his shoulders and says he looks better now. She tells him to not hesitate and tell her if something like this happens again. She then turns saying she needs to go now as Erudit stares and starts thinking to himself. He mentions how he made her worry about what happened earlier in hopes that she does not regret choosing him. He wants to make sure that he does not fail his job for the Duchess because she needs him. As the pair stand face to face, Erudit grabs his own shoulder saying he will do his best so that she knows she made the right choice in choosing him. This harem just keeps growing by the day. Aaron asks if Rosalie will go check the Crossbow tomorrow, to which Rosalie mentions how she is leaving after tomorrow morning after training. She asks him to check over the Crossbow for her as Aaron tells her he understands. She then tells him that she will be seeing him tomorrow then as the door gets opened. We see Emma inside asking how the Duchess is as Rosalie notes how Emma is cleaning. Emma says yes and that she will be done very soon, to which Rosalie tells her to not push herself. Emma then opens a suitcase as she then asks Rosalie what she plans to do with these. This confuses Rosalie as Emma presents her slippers and a scarf, both of which are items from Debbie. Rosalie tells her to not throw that away as Emma mentions how rough these shoes are and that these won't match with clothes. Rosalie tells her to not throw that away either as this puzzles are cute made. Emma says she understands and that she will be putting these in the dressing room near the cloak. Later Dolan announces his presence to the Duchess as Rosalie tells him to come in. Once inside she asks what brings him here, to which he tells her that Countess Seth has an urgent letter for Rosalie. Later we see Rosalie sitting as someone says it is a pleasure to meet her. Rosalie asks if anything else was sent apart from this letter as the man mentions how he was only instructed to bring this. Rosalie uses a scissor to cut it open as she then reads through it. She says a non-monetizable word in frustration as Dolan asks if it is serious. Rosalie lights a match before mentioning it is nothing serious for now but that they must act quick. She mentions how a group of bandits have ambushed the route from Novetta Road and the LDC as the letter sits a burn. It is noted that Novetta is the only route where supplies will be moved in the future. She also mentions how the road is Imperial land, so they will need permission before entering, and also notes how her knight's skill must stay hidden until the territorial war. Dolan asks if she is okay as Rosalie says she is fine and that she still has to go to the capital for a while even though things are not going well. He tells her he will prepare a carriage, to which she tells him no as she does not want anyone to know she is leaving. Dolan protests but she tells him she must go by herself. Later we see Boots in a forest as Rosalie can be seen walking near a wall. She mentions how since there are few people here she can assume this is the entrance to the Imperial Palace. She notes how this must be where Debbie sneaks in and out of the palace as she sits slumped over. She wonders when he will come out. Not in the SUS way, of course. Dusk turns to night as Rosalie still sits alone. She then looks up to see Debbie up on top of the wall as she yells for His Highness, which catches his attention. He then hops down from the wall before landing in front of her. He asks what she is doing here, to which she says she was waiting for him to come out. He offers his hand, telling her to get up from the dirty floor as Rosalie sits speechless. He questioningly calls for the Duchess as the background around him seems to sparkle. She turns to the side as she mentions she has a cramp before he stares at her in disbelief. He then rushes over right in front of her before slowly pulling off her shoes as she yells, "Hold on guys, let me need to get a screenshot of this wholesome moment." Debbie mentions how it's likely due to her sitting for a while as he tells her to stay still. Rosalie does note how she actually feels a bit better now before noting how she does not know why Debbie is laughing. He asks if she is okay now, to which she says yes and thanks him. He then says if that is the case then he will wear this now, as she angrily tells him to give it back. Rosalie then asks if Sonia told her about how he was sneaking in and out of the palace. Rosalie nervously says yes, as she notes how she does not want to lie, but it would help avoid an unnecessary situation. She then switches the subject, saying she is here to make a deal with him. She questions her comment about a deal. She then mentions the place where the Baron of Rondell hides his slush funds and asks if Debbie would like to know where that is. Debbie sits stunned before he smiles and asks what she wants. She tells him she'd like the Novetta Road to be reinforced with Imperial Guards. Debbie notes how it seems like Rosalie trades with the Countess of Seth using that route, to which Rosalie says yes and that they are important valuable items. Debbie also then deduces how the Duchess seems to not want to get involved before telling her he is not a hard-working crown prince. He mentions how he likes to sneak out and do pranks on others before saying he'd like to make another deal. I think a good deal would be you viewers subscribing and I continue to make content. Later we see the man in a fancy room putting on his coat. Someone calls him saying he is Binnick, to which Debbie tells him to come in. Binnick walks in saying these are the papers Debbie was looking for last time. This man is the eldest son of the Bright family. Debbie asks if there is someone who will take a look at these important papers, to which Binnick says he already took care of it himself. Debbie tells him well done as he holds the papers. Debbie notes how it is just like the Duchess said, as he also mentions how he did not expect it to take this long. He tells Binnick to keep investigating and be careful to not leak anything. Debbie then pulls out his cupboard as we see a black necklace sitting in there. He puts the papers in there as well before asking about the issue on Novetta Road. Debbie says he will be helping with that, which confuses Binnick, who recalls the prince earlier saying he did not want to join as it would be bothersome. We then go back to the scene where another deal was being brokered. Rosalie asks what it is this time, as Debbie tells her she will soon find out. Rosalie says it would be difficult for her to make this kind of deal, as Debbie tells her not to worry about it. He tells her it will not be too much of a price. In the present time he tells Binnick he has his reasons for all this. Rosalie is later seen asking to check the new weapons, as Aaron tells her no problem. The pair then spot Erudit before Rosalie asks where he is going. He says he is off to the library, as Aaron mentions how they are headed to the blacksmith. Rosalie smiles as she notes how the two men seem to have gotten close while she was away. Aaron says they should take Erudit along, as he probably didn't get the chance to look around the town. This prompts Rosalie to grab his shoulder and tells him to come with them. Erudit notes how Rosalie never seems to rest due to her work and decides to use this as a chance to get her a present. Erudit says sure to the two, as we later see the sign of a door. An arrow strikes near the bullseye, as Rosalie notes how she is a little disappointed about the scope. Aaron and the blacksmith though are staring in awe. Rosalie mentions how the scope needs to be more accurate and set the differences between targets at different heights. Aaron mentions how it will be hard to get that accuracy right before Rosalie says it's all good. She then has a dark expression on her face as she aims the crossbow. She then fires out a shot which hits the bullseye again and again and again. She tells him they can use it, as it at least is way more usable than their previous model. She then asks how many of these they have, as both Aaron and the blacksmith stare in awe at her skills. The blacksmith says the amount she requested is almost done, to which Rosalie tells Aaron to check over them again to make sure it's all good. The blacksmith ushers the crew to proceed this way then. Erudit stands behind as he notes how amazing that was. Later we see Aaron ask Erudit if the Duchess is still here, to which Erudit says yes, but that she does not like the hot temperature inside. Aaron then tells the blacksmith that maybe he could make a dagger, as well as the blacksmith asks if the Duchess uses daggers too. Aaron calls her the master of daggers, as he asks Gilbert exactly how many crossbows there are. Some unhearable things are seen as Erudit mentions how long this convo will take. Later we see Rosalie seated as she asks where Aaron is. Erudit says that Aaron and Gilbert are talking about something and it will take a while. She then asks if he'd like to walk around town then, as Erudit wonders what about Aaron. Rosalie starts to move out, telling Erudit to go, as she mentions Aaron will just head to the castle when he finishes work. Erudit starts to move as well, saying he sees. Outside, Rosalie mentions how she is glad the people here are energetic and seem to have peace of mind. Erudit then talks about how, as far as he knows, Bella once owned the Duchess's property. He mentions how when she was in control the business operation was messy, and how even the previous head did not manage it well. He then catches himself as he nervously tries to say that thanks to Rosalie the issue is solved. This prompts Rosalie to say he is right and that she is curious why he would talk about this. He asks if she feels bad about this, to which she tells him the most important thing is to move forward. She then looks puzzled before asking him to have some tea first, as she notes how weak this boy is. Later in a room we see him seated. 30 minutes prior she told him to enter a cafe before leaving to go for a walk. Erudit notes how he cannot believe he did this in front of the Duchess and notes how he should probably hit the gym and work out. He then turns as he hears some noises. It's a girl yelling, "Don't do this to a bunch of filthy animals." The three creeps ask her if they should go somewhere else to talk, as Erudit now stands telling them to stop, as the woman clearly does not like that. One of the creeps tells Erudit he is in the way and asks what the hell he is talking about. Erudit says that if they don't stop he will call the knights on them. The thug yells, saying Erudit is trying to be cool in front of the woman and that he'll crush Erudit's face. As he prepares to punch, Erudit wonders if this guy will break his teeth. He closes his eyes as a loud sound can be heard. The doofus pulls back his hand to punch, as Erudit wonders if his teeth will get messed up. His eyes are closed shut before Rosalie comes flying in with a kick to the face. The lady is stunned as the idiot falls to the floor and Rosalie lands on the ground. Erudit stares as Rosalie has her fists clenched. Rosalie mentions grimly about how she understands the situation as the two other idiots start pulling out their weapons. They show off their daggers to her as Rosalie flips her own dagger while mentioning how she's not sure why they feel confident fighting against her with daggers. One of them goes in for a slash, asking what the hell she is talking about, but hits air as Rosalie easily dodges. She then gives him an uppercut using the handle of her blade. The other guy tries to go in for a stab, but she knocks the weapon out of his hand as she notes how she is the Duchess. She then throws up a kick, ending the man's ability to reproduce, as she mentions how killing these guys would be bad for her reputation. The guy falls over foaming from the mouth. As both idiots lay on the floor in great pain, Rosalie notes how unfortunate it is that her knife got scratched. She then calls for a nervous Erudit who sits on the floor. She offers him her hand and tells him that they should go now. Erudit seems to be enchanted by the Duchess as he says yes. Later in the nighttime, Erudit walks off the carriage as Rosalie calls him by name. She then hands him a dark blue box and tells him to take it. He opens the lid as he asks her what it is. His eyes widen and light up at the sight of it. It appears to be a necklace, as Rosalie tells him it is a glass strap that she went to buy earlier. She then smiles as she tells him she thought it would suit him well if he used it. As he carries the gift, she tells him now he may rest. Erudit stares at the gift and places his hand over it. Later in a well-lit room, Rosalie asks someone something. The man grabs a piece of candy and then mentions how Bella is currently trying to meet up with Marquis of Wendell. Rosalie then asks again why this is important. Nathan then tells her she previously mentioned how Marquis of Wendell is a coward and that it seems as if nothing appears to be happening from his end. Rosalie holds her chin as she wonders if she missed something. She then decides that she must make the sale of the Gordic mines well known. Suddenly a piece of candy is then present right in front of her mouth. Nathan then feeds her the candy as she sits stunned. She holds her chin as she mentions how sweet it is. She then angrily stares at Nathan, who is now completely giggling. He licks his finger like the ultimate light skin as he tells her eating something sweet will make her feel better. She angrily tells him no as he continues to smile. He tries to offer her another candy as she holds up her hand, mentioning how he just licked his finger. He seems shocked by her mentioning this. She continues to hold up her hand as he then drops the candy. He then proceeds to burst out laughing at all this as he then asks Rosalie if she has ever been in a relationship before. She questions why he is asking as Nathan mentions how Rosalie is getting funnier than he thought. He then tells her that Bella has asked him to come with her as she will return to the mansion soon. He mentions that Rosalie could prepare some bait for the Marquis of Wendell. He also mentions how if the territorial war starts, then they will try to take possession of the property. Rosalie sits and ponders while Nathan stares at her with a dumb look on his face. He calls her name once before going in with a charismatic kiss on the cheek. She jumps away from him as he mentions how he sensed her heartbeat go up. She yells at him for this, but he is long gone and he yells at her to take this as a compliment. Very non-monetizable words are said in the manner as even the butler outside wonders where these chills came from all of a sudden. Later we hear Rosalie yelling at her knights to not miss while using the crossbow. They need to get their range faster than anyone else and take cover. The men yell understood as she then yells for them to work as a team, and if anyone gets shot, someone else swaps in. We see men running out carrying crossbows as Rosalie yells to not miss the shot while another set of men are doing push-ups. She notes how the firing range squad training is going well as she yells at them to go again. She is so fine. As a carriage moves forward, it is noted that the Novetta Road issue has been resolved now as well. She notes how the busy days have also found their peaceful moments and a field of what looks like wheat can be seen. Rosalie notes how she finally has a day off as her hand brushes on the plants. She notes how glad she is that she made that deal with Debbie, but that being alone in this field makes her feel lonely. Side note, but she talking about be lonely when she has a 3-man harem going right now. This a load of BS. She then wonders if it's maybe due to the cold. She then wonders about how if she had someone next to her at times like this maybe she'd feel less lonely. Someone then says that it looks like Rosalie got her first. She turns her head to see someone walking towards her. She questioningly says Debbie as we see him standing before her. Rosalie asks why he is here, to which he tells her he finished his part of the deal so he's here to get fresh air. A breeze then blows by as Rosalie tries to cover her hair. Debbie then stands before as he does the cliché giving her his code move. He then stands smiling before Rosalie thanks him and notes how warm it is. She then asks if he has informed the Imperial Palace yet. Debbie smiles as he tells her since the Duchess likes informal visits, of course he has not informed them yet. She then questions how she did not see His Highness's portal request as he then dangles a necklace saying he used this. It is a Duke's art pendant for transportation. He tells her it was discovered over 300 years ago by the first Duke of Judehart as Rosalie stares at it and asks where did he find it. He then tells her he stole it as she then gives him a blank stare.